Hey, this is kind of just an idea I had to do, film a video for anyone who thought they should watch, but I'm hoping that a lot of people do watch this because it's kind of just been on my heart to say something about it. I was gonna write like a post or something, but then I just kind of had the idea of making a video because I just felt like it was a little more real life, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is really just kind of informing everyone of what's been going on, a little bit of like my story kind of. 'Cause I think some people do know about this, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people who know me don't know that I struggle with these things, so I just kind of wanted to come on here and share a little bit, really to inform everyone, but also to just kind of make people aware of what I'm going through. This is not to seek attention at all. If anything, I would rather just hide away and like not say anything like I've done for like most of my life. But I think it's now time to talk about it. It's something that a lot of people go through, but anxiety and depression is something that I've dealt with. More so anxiety in most of my life, but depression is now something that I can say I have and deal with every single day. I think a lot of people don't understand that I have this because I am good at putting on a smile and seeming like nothing's wrong. So I want to first and foremost apologize if I've made my life look like it's perfect, especially on social media. If I've confused anyone, I'm sorry. I don't have a perfect life at all. I do struggle a lot with a lot of things. There are a lot of things that I'm thankful for, and a lot of things that I'm grateful for. But it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect, and I don't think that any life is perfect. But I just wanted to first and foremost apologize if I've made it seem as if it was. So more on the subject of why I'm even making this video. I've been dealing with anxiety and depression pretty badly in the last few months. I think certain things have kind of triggered it and set it off. Anxiety specifically I've had that probably ever since I can remember. It was officially diagnosed when I was 10 years old, which is still pretty young, but I can even remember in like kindergarten I would have these crazy thoughts like I was worried all the time about my house burning down or my parents getting into car accidents. And like, I think that's normal for a child to worry about. Like, yeah, like no kid wants their parents to get into a car accident, like that's awful, but it was to the point that these thoughts were obsessive and they weren't going away, where I'd be like out at recess and I would still be thinking about it and I'd still be worried about it. So that was probably like a big warning sign of having anxiety, but I was in kindergarten then, so I wouldn't have known. But I wasn't officially diagnosed until I had my first panic attack. But going into like middle school, high school, I'm not going to be too specific with anything because it has been on and off. Like some years are great in that, yes, I'm still anxious all the time, but like it's not severe, or I begin to forget about it a little bit, you know, and it's not so obsessive like it was in other years where I was having panic attacks all the time. It was hard for me to show up to school and not cry. It was hard for me to go anywhere, really. I would go places. I would be anxious out of my mind, you know? At some point you just needed to like back off and just not go. Other things that have kind of been a part of my anxiety is just really like eliminating my own self-worth, which could have been a touch of depression, I guess, in high school, but I really don't know. But even teachers would say like, Erin, why are you so hard on yourself? And I'd kind of just shrug my shoulders like, I don't know. But really inside I was like, well, I'm hard on myself for a reason because I don't think I'm good enough. But yeah, I've had my parents tell me that. Even my boyfriend says that I'm way too hard on myself, and I believe it, but I think I am hard on myself for a reason because I genuinely don't believe that I'm good enough for anything. So end of high school honestly was pretty positive. Like, I didn't want to leave my friends, of course, but the anxiety wasn't too high, it wasn't too crazy. But then of course, like approaching college, that's when anxiety kind of spiked up a little bit, just because, you know, it's a huge transition, and moving into my dorm and just meeting so many new people. So that was expected. Honestly, I went into college knowing that I was gonna have anxiety, or I'd have a panic attack here and there. I knew it, just because that's who I am and that's what I struggle with. Yes, I've done counseling. Yes, I've gone to therapy and done all that stuff too. And that's not really something I've shared with people, so here you are. But once the second semester rolled around, I don't know what did it. I don't know if it was coming back for winter break and then leaving again. I really don't know. It just set off depression like so fast. I don't know what it was. I really don't. But I got really depressed. I don't think my roommate even knew how depressed I was. But the depression, the way it kind of affects me is, it's kind of just different. It's really the invasive thoughts, again, kind of along with the anxiety, but also it's harder for me to get out of bed some days. Like today, I feel pretty good. Like I did my hair, did my makeup and stuff, I got dressed, and I feel pretty good today. But some days it's like, I'm not getting out of bed. Like, it's not because I'm tired, it's literally because I don't want to, you know? It's like, it's so hard to explain. I don't even know how else to explain it. And you can imagine it's hard when you have that and all you want to do is lay in bed and cry, but you have to go to class, or you have to go to the dining hall and get your lunch or something, you know? So it's like, that was hard in school for sure. I couldn't even get through a day, you know? So that was like really tough. But I started to have these thoughts that like, I never thought I would ever come across. I'm even one to hate that. Like, I've always hated that when someone posted something that said something about harming themselves, or just, I don't know. I've always been someone that just hates that, and I hated when people posted it or talked to me about it. I took it on myself. I took it on myself to try to get them help or fix the problem, because I knew it wasn't right. I just knew it wasn't right. Because someone who has dealt with mental health issues before, not quite to that extent, but to someone who's dealt with it at all, I understand how severe it is, and I understand how important it is to get help. But I started to have those thoughts though. I guess it was just more so devaluing myself. But yeah, I just started to have these crazy thoughts. Not gonna go specific. And I understood maybe after like a couple of weeks that it was bad. So I started going to counseling at school, and that helped a little bit. But then obviously school kind of came to a halt, and the world came to a halt, which is terrible for someone who is prone to anxiety or depression. And that's when things really just kicked off even worse. Dealing with a lot just going on in the world, but then also being introduced to this whole other path of what I'm dealing with right now, which is some health issues, like physical health issues. I've had this stuff going on. I've been going to the doctors, and so many different like scans and tests and like all this crazy stuff. And that's been since mid-March that I've been going in and out of the doctor's hospital once. And that just has not helped my anxiety at all. With the health issues, I've also been pretty hesitant with going out with like large groups of people because of the virus and stuff. Just, I mean, I'm not too concerned about the virus like in general, but with what I have, I don't know how compromised my immune system could be. I really don't know. I don't know if maybe if I get the virus that it could affect me in a worse way that it would someone else. I really don't know. So that's kind of why I'm being hesitant right now. For anyone who maybe has like asked me to go out with like a large group and I've said no or something, that's why. So I've been in a really rough spot recently. But it's good to get that kind of off my chest. And I also just want people who I know to understand what I'm going through. I never want to spread negativity to people. That's not something I want to do, because I could be feeling so trashy at the moment, but I'm not going to make someone else feel trashy just because I do. I think I've kind of found this balance though, that I want people to understand what I'm going through. I'm not going to put on a show like I'm perfect, but I'm not going to act as if I'm suffering in public. But at least they're going to know that maybe I'm not perfectly happy at the moment. So I think I've kind of found that balance, and I'm really glad I have. It's even hard with like text messages. I get anxious with those, or emails. Oh my gosh, I get emails from people or like text messages, and I just get like anxious all of a sudden. Like I'm anxious to respond to them. So a lot of times I just like hold off on a text and then I forget about it, because you know, when you hold off on a text you forget about it. Really, the whole purpose of doing this video is so people can be aware of what is going on. I also want to say to anyone else who's going through this, maybe even worse than I am, first, I'm sorry, because I know it's awful. And then second, just know that a lot of people do go through it and don't say anything. Maybe a lot of people who do have anxiety or depression or both looked at me and said, oh my gosh, like she would understand. You know, her life is awesome. Her life is perfect. And oh my gosh, girl, I would totally understand you. And I also understand that anxiety and depression shows up differently in everyone. I understand me having a panic attack consists of me breathing very heavily and rapidly and crying and kind of just freaking out, but other people's panic attacks could be like sweating and just jittering, and like I understand it presents itself differently in everyone, so I'm not going to say I understand people fully, but know that you aren't alone if you go through this, because there's a lot of people who don't talk about it. So that being said, I'm glad that everyone who's watching this knows, and if you've gotten all the way to the end of this video, I just want to say thanks. I'm just glad that people understand my life isn't perfect, because it's not, but I'm also not going to act as if it's the worst. And also just to update you on kind of next steps for me, I am doing some more things, kind of researching some different methods and different ways of maybe battling this to try to feel a little bit better. So yep, that's where I'm at right now. Also, if you need to say anything or talk about anything with me, go for it. Send me a text or something. I know I just said that texts make me anxious, but not all the time. Don't hesitate to. I think on this kind of topic, it's fine. If anything, I'll probably be a little less anxious now because I've told people. So seriously, send me a text if you want to say anything. Literally, send me a text. Thank you for watching, and I really appreciate anyone who took the time to watch this video. And yeah, don't hesitate to talk to me about it. But yeah, bye guys.